Hey guys, welcome to another video of building a SaaS. So in this series, we are going to be sitting down and hanging out together, building a software as a service in only a half an hour a day. So the software as a service that we are building is called Fancy Bar, and this allows you to add a nice little fancy notification bar to the top or the bottom of your website. You can see here some of the examples. Like if someone were to land on a website, they could then have these fancy bars that pop down or even show up on the right over here. So the tool that we are using for our software as a service is called Wave. It is a software as a service starter kit that has a bunch of stuff out of the box like user authentication, billing, plans, invoices, and so much more. So if you want to build your own software as a service using these same tools, be sure to check out devdojo.com/wave. Okay, so where we left off last time was we created these nice thumbnails that we could then click on and we could see the fancy bar show up on the screen. So probably what I want to do is in this video, I was thinking that we want the funnel, like if somebody were to put in their website here, so if they put in google.com, it should then take them to another page where it takes a snapshot of their website, and then it will have a bar at the top that they could click on. Let me show you these different icons. So it might have like these in a horizontal view that they can click on, and it will show that pop-up come down beneath the screenshot of their website. So that's pretty cool because they can see their website and then see what the bar is going to look like on the specific website. And I was thinking as the user, let me log in real quick. Okay, so as the user comes here to create their own bar, they go here to bars and they click on create new bar. I kind of want that to function very similar to how the funnel functions. So if they already know how to, they put in their website and then they can click on those thumbnails to see the different bars, wouldn't it be nice if this was pretty much the same way? They could click on create new bar, it adds a website, they can then put in their specific website, it'll show their website on the screen, and then it'll also show the different bars that they can click on. So I think that's where we're going to go in this video. I think we're going to start by building out this specific funnel, or I don't even know if you want to call it a funnel, you can just call it a create bar functionality. 1 second, my dog wants in. Son, come on. You're messing up my videos. You're messing up my videos. Come on. Go lay down. Okay, sorry about that. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and maybe say that we just enter in google.com and let's go through the whole process. We'll say give it a try. And then so what we need to do is we need to take a snapshot of this URL. And from the previous video, we downloaded the Spady WebShots package. So that allows us to do that functionality. So let me jump into the code here. And as usual, I want to clear everything out and start from scratch. So we'll say close all. Okay, so we need to get to the home page. So we go resources, views, and this is inside of themes. We'll say tall stack, and we are at the home.blade.php. So what I probably want to do is I want to make a reusable component. So I probably want to create a Livewire component that will maybe it'll take in like a specific URL, and then that's how it will take the user through the whole process. So maybe for now, we'll just call this create bar. So let's go ahead and create that component. PHP artisan make Livewire. Maybe we'll call that bar.create. So now we have a new folder called bar and then create, and then we also have this view called create.blade.php. So what we can do is we can create a new route for this inside of our routes web.php. And I want to have this route go specifically to that controller. So I think I just say route get. This is going to go to, I don't know, do we want create bar? Maybe we just want create. That's good. So then this will actually go to our app HTTP Livewire bar, and then did we call that create class, and we're going to give this a named route of create. And let's go to our app HTTP Livewire bar create, and this is going to go to this specific view. So we go livewire.bar.create, and let's see where that view is at. Livewire bar create, and let's go ahead and just echo something out to the screen so we can make sure that we hit this route and that file. So we'll say .test/create. And I need to put the / at the beginning of app in our routes. Nope, that did not do it. Okay, I think this is because we are already in the namespace for the routes web.php. If I actually look at Laravel Livewire, I think in their docs they say this somewhere in there. So let me see. It's going to be route. I can search for route Livewire because that got removed from version 1, and they're saying that instead you should use this syntax. But they're also saying the first thing to note is that if you are on Laravel 7, you'll need to remove the namespace from app providers route service provider. But I think we're actually on Laravel 8. This is done by Laravel 8, but if you need to, you'll need to be able to pass route get, otherwise prepend a namespace. All classes pass to route get. So maybe what I can do is I can actually create a route group, and I can give it a specific namespace. So I'm going to have to look up how to do groups. I think I always forget the syntax. Okay, so we have middleware group, and if we want to actually have route prefixes, yeah, I think we should be able to specify a namespace in here. Route group namespace. Namespaces. Okay. Yeah, route group namespace. And then we can just put it in there. So namespace /admin. So let me try this. So I'm going to say this is my namespace, and then I should just be able to go to create class. And let's see what this gives us. Boom, boom, boom. I don't think it's going to like that. Okay. Load layouts.app. Okay, so we got a different error, which is actually good. So by default, Livewire is looking for a layout that's stored inside of our layouts.app folder. And I don't think that we actually really need a, I mean, maybe we just need the specific layout for, I don't know if we want to actually provide our dashboard layout. I think we probably just want to create a new layout, and this is just going to be like a generic layout. So maybe I will create that inside of views. I'm going to actually store this inside of my theme, tall stack, layouts, and I'm just going to, instead of calling that app, we have bar and main. For now, I'm just going to call this create.blade.php, and this could always change later. So let me see, I do want the Tailwind CDN. We'll probably have to pull in our actual CSS. Yeah, maybe I'll just take in this whole file right here. So that is the app. Let me include the all the way from the head, and we'll do the body as well. So I'm going to recreate this layout, and that is going to be for create. So I think we actually want to, let's say yield content. And this is the layout that we want to use. So now if we go back to the Livewire documentation and we check out layout, configuring the layout component, yeah, it says here we can call layout, layouts.base, and then we could pass it a slot, or we could say extends, and then we can tell it the section that we want that to be inside of. So let's go ahead and do this. So that's inside of our create. So we want this to extend our theme, and that is layouts.create. And the section is going to be content. Okay, now let's give this a try. Come on, buddy. There we go. Okay, so now we have our new Livewire component created. We also have a separate layout specifically for this component. So we can go to resources, views, themes. Actually, where is that component? Okay, so it's right there inside of bar create. So we probably need a specific URL. Like this, whenever we hit this page, it's actually going to have to render a screenshot for a specific URL. And we'll probably cache this somewhere so that way if somebody tries it again from their website, maybe we'll store like a cached version for like 24 hours. This way they're not constantly hitting it and creating new thumbnails each time. So let's say that inside of this create, we have the mount function, and we probably do want to have a specific URL, and that's just going to be a string. So what I might like to do is I could even just pass it a get parameter for now. I don't know if that's going to be the best way. I guess that could handle a post request. So if we're here at the home page, we could actually post that to that page, or let me see, we could say bars / yeah, I mean, I guess the URL doesn't really matter. We're going to do that for now, and then just for security measures and everything, we might change that later. So we're going to have a get parameter that's just $URL equals. So we can say request get URL is going to equal this URL. So that means we need to create a public URL. And we don't need this. How about I just go ahead and die and dump the URL. And let's say google.com is our URL. Oh, wrong URL. So we'll say /create with that URL, and request, we need to pull in that namespace. Say import class, illuminate HTTP request. Request get should not be called statically. Did I include the wrong one? There we go. Yeah, illuminate support facades request. Okay, so now we have the URL coming through. So we have create and then the URL. So then we could basically take a screenshot of this, and then we could show that on the page, and then the users could click on those different thumbnails, and it could show up what the bar is going to look like on their website. So let's see, what do we want to do next? Okay, so we probably need to get a snapshot, and let me look at where in the bar controller I created these screenshots before. So I just used browser shot right there. So how about I include this namespace and put it right in there. And the way that namespaces, I've heard the best practice is to do it by alphabetical order. So you'd go I, L, and then S. I mean, it's really just a preference. But yeah, so if those are in alphabetical order, that's like, I guess, good practice. So we want browser shot. We want to get a specific URL. And we also want a window size, and we want to save it. So we could pretty much just copy this. So I'm going to say I want to get this browser shot, this URL. And you know what I could even do is because maybe this screenshot might take a while to create. So instead of actually doing it in the mount method, maybe I want to load the view, and then after the view is loaded, I can show like a loading icon, and then that's when we can fetch that URL. So that might actually be a better user experience. Otherwise, they're going to click on, create, and then it's going to go to the next page. And before, it's just going to have a loader bar if it takes a while to take a snapshot. So we could create another function and call this render browser shot. And then it is going to call that function. And that is going to go to this URL. And the window size 1080 by 700. Yeah, usually like a 16 by 9 is good. So maybe we could even say 1280 by 720. Yeah, I think it's going to be good. So we want to store this inside of storage thumbnails. Let's say storage websites. So let's go to the public. We have storage and we have thumbnails. Let's say, we could say URLs, or we could say, yeah, maybe we'll just say websites. Websites, boom. So we're going to store that inside of that folder. And you know what we could do to get a specific name, just that way it's, we could retrieve it later, is we could always like slugify this URL for the name. So we could say file name equals, and I'll have to look at where the Laravel string helpers. So I want to get the slugify helper. So that's str slug. So I can just use this. It's going to be the file name of this URL. I think that dash is indicating like what we want spaces. So if you have a space, maybe you put the dash in there. I think dash is by default, but we'll keep that there. And we need to include that namespace. Okay. That looks pretty good. So let's go back to our create.blade.php. And where is that at? And see, that's why this probably isn't a good name for the layout, because I usually like it if I can go to like just type in create.blade.php. And now if I have the bar create and then the layout as the same name, it just doesn't feel like, it feels like I could search for it easier. So I'm going to change the name of this layout. Instead of that just being create, I think I'm just going to call this generic, because it really is just a generic layout that doesn't have anything in it. And it's just going to have like Tailwind and then the Livewire styles and scripts. So it's really just a generic layout. So rename to generic.blade.php. And let's go back to create, and we need to say that we want this theme layouts to be generic. So now I can just search for create.blade.php, and that's the only one there. Okay, let's add a kind of like a giant loader, like right whenever the page loads. So I'm going to say div class equals, and I want this to be W screen, H screen, flex, we'll say item center, and justify center. Okay, and let's head over to the Tailwind website, and let's search for animate. And they have a nice little loader that I can just snag right here. So I'm going to pop open these developer tools and snag that. So I will edit as HTML, copy that, and paste that right in here. And instead of text-white, I'm going to say text-black. And I want this to be W, I'll say 12 and H12. So let me see what that page looks like. Go here, reload, and we have that loader animation right there. And we'll probably change this to make it look a little bit nicer. Maybe we can have some text explaining what's going on. But right whenever we load the page, then we want to basically do an AJAX request and say like, hey, create this thumbnail. So that way we don't have to do it once the user actually lands on this page. And you know what we could do is actually we could, maybe later, we could always just strip that URL after they click it. But let's go ahead and generate that. Yeah, let's render the browser shot. So what we could do is actually right in here, I could just run a script and I could just say on document load, and then I can call window.livewire.emit, and then I could call, what I say, render browser shot. I always forget, is there any other arguments that I need to pass? So Laravel Livewire, events, firing events, window.livewire.emit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so then we also need to register that as a listener. So whenever we call this from JavaScript, then our backend code says, okay, this is a listener, so I can go ahead and call this function when it's called from JavaScript. Okay, and one thing that I'm going to do, just so I can make sure this is actually firing, is the good old DD trick. And I'll just say rad. So we know if this listener gets hit from JavaScript, it's then going to run this, and then we're going to see a die and dump of rad. And window dot, oh man, I can never remember this. Okay, window on load listener. JavaScript document loaded. Listener. Where's that? There we go. DOM content loaded. Where are you at? There we go. Okay, so after the document content has been loaded, then we want to emit this Livewire event. Let's see if that works. Let's go back here, reload, nothing. Okay, let's see if we have a console error. Emit of undefined. So I'm guessing this is probably happening because I'm calling this maybe after the Livewire script is actually running, or am I even including the Livewire script? That could be why. So let me take a look at generic. Yeah, I don't think I'm actually including the Livewire scripts. If I go down to the bottom, there we go. Got to make sure to include it if I want it to run correctly. Okay, let's try this again. Let's reload, get no error, but then we also do not get that event being called. So let's see what's up. So create, I just go ahead and alert a message right there, hit, we get that, but we don't get window.livewire.emit. I'm wondering if this is still happening before Livewire scripts fully loads. So we have hit, and then now we get it. So maybe what I want to do is, I guess I could always have like a at yield, it's a JavaScript. Actually, I'm not sure if that's going to work. So let me see if there's a way to detect if Livewire has loaded. So if loaded, detect if ready. Yeah, so I need to see if livewire.on. So livewire.on, I think that's what I'm going to be looking for. Install Livewire. Sometimes it's necessary to update Livewire on. Let me check my website. I think there's this place that I actually put some scripts that I usually store inside of snippets. Detect if Livewire is loading in vanilla JavaScript. Okay. I think that's something else. So Livewire hooks is probably what I want to look for. Livewire hooks. There's lifecycle hooks. JavaScript hooks. Component.initialized. Called when a component has been initialized. Message sent. Message processed. So yeah, actually this DOM content loaded should have fired when I did. So we have create.blade.php. Script DOM content loaded. Yeah, I'm still wondering why that's not loading. Because I think after this should run only after the whole page has finished loading. Yeah, let me try, maybe I can try that yield. So let's see, using yield in Livewire. Okay, and I think we're actually going to be close to being out of time. User Livewire scripts, section content. Okay, so what we're going to have to do is, maybe I can just put the script right here, and we're just going to worry about that later. So let's go ahead and add this here. We'll go to generic, we'll paste that in there. So now what I can do is I can say, after the page has loaded, then we render the browser shot. Let's go to the create, and let's go ahead and see if we can render this screenshot. So we save that, we come back here and we reload. So we still have that happening, bar num. That's right, we got to put the file name there. And did I remove that? Yeah, reload. Okay, so we went ahead and called it. It looks like time's up, but I'm just going to spend a couple minutes just to get this thumbnail in there. So let's take a look and see if we created that thumbnail. So we have websites. Look at that. That's awesome. Okay, so now we have the screenshot. We could essentially show the screenshot after after we've just generated it. So maybe we set like, we have loader set to true. And now I can just say this loader equals, and I'm going to set this to false. And then I probably also want to store the file name. So I'm going to probably call this like, let me see, this file name. So it's going to be the file name.jpg inside of that folder. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so we'll need to create that. We'll say public file name. And now inside of the create, we need to do an if condition. So we'll say if loader is true, then we want to show the loading bar. And if, and you know what, I think I want to wrap the whole thing inside of this W screen and H screen right there. So if there is no loader, we'll say else, and if, and how about we display the image? So we'll say image source equals, and I know this is going to be inside of storage slash, we say websites slash, and then that's going to be the file name.jpg. Okay, and maybe I want to set this to be class of max-w- we'll say 4xl and mx-auto. How about rounded-lg? Okay, don't know if this is going to work, but let's give it a try. So let's reload. And nada. Oh, there we go. Okay. So it took that snapshot and then it just reloaded it there. And you can see for that, couple seconds, that would have been something that the user would have been waiting on. So how about we say devdojo.com. We wait for this to render. It's rendering the screenshot. And then it shows the website here. So now we can have these different thumbnails of the bars up here on top, and the user can click on it, and then we'll kind of show what it's going to look like on the website. So we can just add the bar right above the actual website. And I think this just might be better practice as opposed to just putting their website in an iframe, because a lot of websites will actually pop out of an iframe if they detect that they're in an iframe. So I think this is pretty good progress. So we just created that create route. So now when somebody goes to enter in the URL, they should then be redirected to that page. So how about we link this up? Let's go back to home.blade.php, tall stack, okay. And submit. Right now I'm just setting return false. You can say this is going to be name equals URL. So this is going to be action equals, and let's just say /create. And is that going to be, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on a form? Let's see, devdojo.com. Yeah, there we go. What did we get there? Oh, maybe it's giving me that because it already existed? I don't know. Let's see. Let's go to laravel.com. Screenshot options. Create URL. Oh, okay. Probably because it needs to have the whole website. Okay. So I'll probably need to fix that because sometimes people won't put in the whole HTTPS, but if I go ahead and put that in here, say laravel.com, then it should pass that whole URL, and then it shouldn't show us that error message. And we have the person's website right there, and now they can click on the thumbnail to see what the bar is going to look like on the website. So that's all for today. Thanks for hanging out with me as we create a software as a service. It may be a little while before I create a video. Currently, me and my family are planning a trip to, not a trip, we're moving from California to Florida. So I may be pretty busy, but I'm going to pick things back up, and it could be me even from our new house, or maybe even from like a shared working space, but I'll be back on it, and I'll make sure that I don't make any progress on this without recording it. If it comes down to it, I may even just have like some headphones on, and I'll have like a little microphone, and might just even be doing it from my couch. So I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for checking out this video, and I will see you in the next one.